Welcome back to our how-to series on the Climatiq Excel add-in. In this video, we cover the electricity formula. This is useful for Scope 2, purchased electricity, and Scope 3.3, fuel and energy-related activities. The Climatiq electricity formula provides scientifically grounded estimates of greenhouse gas emissions from electricity consumption, drawing on data from trusted sources such as IEA, AIB, EPA, and UK BEIS. It supports both grid-supplied and direct line electricity across 149 countries and 10 different energy sources, giving you global coverage and region-specific accuracy. Each calculation includes generation emissions, which is Scope 2, and then the well-to-tank upstream emissions, as well as T&D, so transmission and distribution losses, and are all fully aligned with the GHG protocol and ISO 14067 methodologies. Now that we've looked at the methodology, let's dive into how to use the formula in Excel. Let's start by taking a look at the documentation in the task pane. The formula is Climatiq.calculate electricity and it accepts up to 9 inputs. So let's break down the key inputs. Firstly, the amount, which is the quantity of electricity consumed, for example, in kilowatt hours. Next up is the region. So this is represented as the 2-letter country code where the electricity was consumed. So this is the UN code. The next inputs are totally optional, but you can also specify, for example, the year, which is the year of the consumption, the connection type, so whether it was delivered via the grid or direct line, as well as the supplier, so the region-specific supplier emission factors. We offer this for both the UK and the US, for example, as well as supplier-specific emission factors. So if you have contracted emission factors for your specific supplier, you can also specify these. You can also specify the energy source, so the fuel or generation mix such as coal, natural gas, renewable or nuclear, and so forth. RECs, so the renewable energy certificates held, can also be specified. And lastly, if you want to exclude IEA factors or not. So this indicates if emission factors from the IEA, which is a paid premium data set, should be excluded from the calculation. So you'd put true for exclude IEA if you do not have a license, and if you do, then you would set it to false. So as a tip from my side, you should head over to the templates library where you can insert a cheat sheet to use as guidance on which fuel types are accepted in Climatiq formulas, as well as their associated codes. Let's have a look at an example. Here I have an Excel file showing electricity consumption records. One of the entries shows 13,000 kilowatt hours of electricity generated from coal delivered via the grid in South Africa in 2024. To prepare the file, I'll make sure I have columns for all of the formula inputs. If my existing file uses different column names or order or something's missing, I can easily quickly rearrange them to match the structure. So now that the data is ready, let's look into calculating. To start, click on an empty cell, click equals on your keyboard, and then select the electricity formula from the list. Alternatively, you can also insert the formula directly via the Excel task pane. Then select each input one by one: the amount, the region, year, connection type, supplier, contracted supplier factors if applicable, your energy source, any RECs, and whether to exclude IEA or not. We ensure these are separated by commas or semicolons, depending on your Excel settings. Close off the bracket, press enter on your keyboard, and within a few moments, the formula returns an emissions result. Before we look at the outputs, I recommend clicking the Add Header button in the task pane to label the columns. It makes it a lot easier to interpret the results. So looking at the output, you'll first see your total CO₂ equivalent emissions, followed by a detailed breakdown of the emissions from the electricity generation. So this is your Scope 2 emissions from the electricity usage, your well-to-tank emissions, so upstream, your T&D emissions, transmission and distribution, so losses in the delivery, as well as the well-to-tank component of the T&D emissions, so the upstream emissions from transmission losses. You'll also see the applied emission factors, including the source dataset and year, and a notices column summarizing any assumptions applied in the calculation. And please note that the output is provided for the location and market-based. If we change the energy type to nuclear, for example, notice how the formula immediately updates and recalculates. If you have multiple electricity records, you can easily calculate in bulk. To make the calculation for all of the business data you have in the sheet, feel free to pull down on the formula to apply across all of the rows. Finally, if you want to get a quick start, Climatiq also provides a ready-made electricity template. You can find it in the task pane under the Templates tab, the Climatiq template, and it includes pre-filled examples, required inputs, and active formulas that you can easily edit or expand with your own data. You've now learned how to calculate electricity-related emissions directly within Excel using the Climatiq electricity formula. To learn how to use other Climatiq formulas, check out the other videos in this Excel How-To series. I'll see you in the next video.